Mottle FIM Superbike World Championship makes its 32nd visit to Donington Park, located on the rural outskirts of Derby, with the spectacular backdrop of the East Midlands Airport. The oldest circuit on the calendar and the exclusive home since 2014 of the Prosecco DOC UK round, the first of 2 rounds this month before our summer break. Motorcycle racing at Donington Park dates back to 1931. This was the inaugural venue for WorldSBK in 1988, and the series remains the venue's premier international event. The traditional undulating park layout of the first 2 sectors is popular with riders and fans alike for its high-speed changes of direction. But in terms of overtaking, it is largely one line. The best action hotspot here is the old hairpin. Andrea Locatelli was the man to watch there last year. Modifications to the circuit in the mid-1980s present the heavy braking zones to facilitate passing in the second half of the lap, 190 metres on the brakes for the Fogarty S's, Alvaro Bautista's main area of attack on his climb from 11th to 3rd in race 1 last year. And the Melbourne hairpin, the slowest turn on the calendar at just 45 kilometres per hour, where top-ranked Razgatlioglu made his winning move in the Superpole race 12 months ago. The shortest lap of the season, with the record at 1 minute 25.597, Razgatlioglu fell less than 1/10 of a second short of beating it this morning. Nicolo Bulliger hasn't yet won a Superbike race at Donington Park. He will have to in order to go to Donington Park in a fortnight's time with any advantage, because his defeat in this morning's Tissot Superpole race means his lead is down to just 1 point. Pole, 2 wins and 2 fastest laps for top-ranked Razgatlioglu, who's once again dominated at Donington. He's now just 1 more win away from the championship lead. Steve English alongside me. Bulliger has never had the chance to challenge Top Rack this weekend. Sluggish away, losing positions from the start in both races. The Ducati man has already lost 2 seconds to the pole sitter by the time he's got back onto his tail. If he can get away well in race 2, then we might dare to hope for a closer scrap between these title contenders.
That'll be the key for Bulliger, to make sure you can make that quick start from the middle of the front row. You can't afford to give Top Rack a head start anywhere, but particularly at Donington Park. This is where he's now won 11 races. He feels so comfortable here. The bike feels good underneath him now. After a struggle on Friday, they made a big step yesterday. The Superpole race showed how strong he is. Bulliger's up against it if he wants to hold on to that championship lead.
Main action in this morning's Superpole race was for 3rd. Jonathan Ray scampered away early on, but was picked off by Sam Lowes on lap 4. Lowes controlling proceedings from there for a home podium at the UK round, his 2nd of the season after the Superpole race in Assen. Ray lost further places to Alvaro Bautista and Andrea Locatelli, and Bautista finished only half a second from Sam Lowes at the checkered flag. So a good group of podium contenders again here. Petrucci 3rd yesterday, now starts 7th. Sam Lowes 3rd this morning, and Bautista now right back in play for race 2.
Yeah, Petrucci in yesterday's race, obviously the 3 riders at the front that are taken out of it, helps to give himself that chance of fighting for the podium. He needs to make sure he comes away with a top 5 finish here in race 2. This morning in the Superpole race, just struggled a little bit. He was in that 2nd group and did well to be able to fight off the likes of Iannone and Gerloff, but 7th at the flag. He'll be expecting more in the longer race.
Yeah, 2 clear battles in the championship. Nicolo Bulliger, as I've said, leads top-ranked Razgatlioglu by 1 point, 321 to 320. And then Danilo Petrucci currently 3rd in the standings, ahead of Alvaro Bautista and Andrea Locatelli. And Sam Lowes certainly a contender with them in terms of pace from one round to the next. Razgatlioglu 2nd place then for him on points, but looking good to leave Donington Park as the championship leader for the first time in 2025. 2 defeats already this weekend for Nicolo Bulliger. And the only question that remains is, can he pull off a Most, where he was able to recover 5 points in race 2, and suddenly it looks like a great weekend for Bulliger.
Yeah, for Bulliger, that's the copy that he has to try and make in this one, is to win a race unexpectedly. And the only way he can do that is by being in a position to fight with Top Rack. That means that the opening couple of laps are critical. He got duffed up at turn 2 yesterday. He got duffed up at turn 4 in both races so far. He needs to show that no one's coming through in those early laps. Otherwise, he'll just give himself too much ground to make up on Top Rack. And that's the key thing for Bulliger at this stage. If he's in a position to fight with Razgatlioglu, he needs to make sure that he keeps Top Rack honest all the way through. The BMW's made a big step forward as the weekend has progressed. Toprak couldn't get the bike stopped or turned at the start of the weekend. He was able to take the pole. He's been able to take both race victories. He's led almost every lap of the weekend so far. Alex Lowe's leading a couple yesterday, but other than that, Toprak's been clearly the rider to beat.
Yes, Razgatlioglu, the dominant force here at the UK round. He's done 2 hat-tricks already in past seasons here, and he's looking for a 3rd this season. Of course, already the hat-trick hero of the Portuguese round and the Emilia-Romagna round last time out. So he strings together 5 consecutive victories. He's looking to make it 6, with which he would take the championship lead for the first time this season. No change to the top 2 on the grid. Razgatlioglu and Bulliger line up as they finished in Superpole and the 2 races thus far. 3 different riders, though, have started 3rd this weekend. Sam Lowe's made up a place with a lap 4 pass on Jonathan Ray this morning and now completes the front row. Ray ultimately lost 3 places to P6. The big winner in the race 2 qualifying format is Alvaro Bautista. He climbed from P9 to P4. Meanwhile, from outside of the top 9 in Superpole, Garrett Gerloff climbs from 11th to 8th. Andrea Iannone from 13th to 9th. Ryan Vickers and Jari Montella are the riders who drop out at their expense. For Montella, penalty in Misano, crash in race 1 here, penalty in the Superpole race. He desperately needs a finish in this one.
Exactly, and for Alvaro, it's one of those situations for a lot of riders at front of the field that were involved in the crash yesterday. Bautista, Montella, Lowe's. Today's about damage limitation. Lowe's came away with a podium in the Superpole race. For Montella, the long lap penalty drops him down the order. He's got a big recovery from the 4th row of the grid. Bautista did well in the Superpole race to give himself that chance from the 2nd row. We'll see what Montella's pace can do.
Yes, certainly Montella has had a smattering of 8th position finishes, his best results of this season so far, but he is scoreless here at the UK round after those misfortunes that I've already mentioned. But we have a reset, don't we always, for Sunday afternoon, and we've got a slightly different grid order as well. You rather feel that we've got the top 2 who should be racing for top spots. Nicolo Bulliger will hope to make a better start and go with Toprak this time around. There's 4 or 5 riders that should be ambitious enough to challenge for those podium places. And then there's another group, and it's sort of 8th position down, a separate battle there.
Yeah, it does look that way, and the likes of Garrett Gerloff, Ryan Vickers, they've been in and around that position all weekend. It's going to be interesting to see what they can do in the long race. Gerloff from the 3rd row of the grid has a chance to be able to come away with something from this one as well. He's at 2 8th place finishes so far this weekend. And Iannone's been in and around that 9th, 10th position in both races. Ryan Vickers has been up as far as inside the top 6 at times this weekend. So for Vickers, good opportunity for him to come away with something from this race from the 4th row. Just missed out on those all-important top 9 positions in this morning's race after making a mistake at the last corner.
Toprak Razgatlioglu, as he has been all weekend actually, a little bit later on to the grid. He's just coming into position now. The heat not quite as dramatic as it was yesterday. Could that have implications for a slightly different race in race 2 compared to race 1?
Yeah, the heat right now, 40 degrees track temperature. It's a little bit cooler than it was yesterday, but the winds died down that was here for the Superpole race as well. Interestingly, Toprak's gone and done 2 siding laps just to get that bit of a feel.
Toprak Razgatlioglu is your pole sitter. He has won each of the 2 races so far this weekend. He's set both fastest laps. He's looking for his 12th Donington Park victory. He's already the circuit record holder here and his 12th of 2025, with which he would take the championship lead, because Nicolo Bulliger is at the top of the standings, but only 1 point ahead of him. 2 second places this weekend so far, and it does look like another damage limitation exercise. He had to pull one off in Most in race 2. He did so well. He had to pull one off in the Emilia-Romagna round. 2 second places, the most he could manage there. He needs at very least to finish with 3 seconds, but really has got to try and attack Toprak right from the word go here. Needs a better start. Sam Lowes completes the front row of the grid. Second podium for him, and richly deserved in his 50th World SBK start. Of course, he was second in the Superpole race in Assen. He was third earlier on today, and now the next target is to do it in one of the long races.
Yeah, exactly. Lowes has been really impressive so far this weekend. Obviously unlucky yesterday with the crash behind him, and it left him with a bit of a battered shoulder and a bit bruised. So for him, it's about trying to make sure you can survive the 23 laps, try and come away with a top 6 finish.
Another Tissot watch for Toprak Razgatlioglu. He is our Tissot Superpole Award leader, and with the vast majority of race victories over the 10-lap sprint format this season.
Had a quick chat with Roger Burnett earlier on, just giving the Tissot watch to Toprak there. He's the manager for Ryan Vickers. Very pleased with the progress Vickers has made this weekend.
So 5 out of the 7 this season so far of the Tissot Superpole race have gone the way of Toprak Razgatlioglu, and once again he starts in P1 here. Directly behind him, double world champion Alvaro Bautista, starting from 4th position. Bautista was another of those riders mixed up in the first turn incident in race 1. He managed to climb from originally qualifying 10th position in Superpole from 9th on the grid this morning up into 4th place. And now you feel he's got the best possible chance of making it 3 different riders finishing in 3rd over the course of this weekend. Alongside him on row 2, Andrea Locatelli and Jonathan Rea. And what's been great to see this weekend, Jonathan Rea, a real match for Locatelli. They finished 4th and 5th in race 1 yesterday, 5th and 6th in the Superpole race this morning.
Yeah, Rea would have been disappointed to have been beaten on the last lap of the Superpole race by Locke, but both Yamaha riders closely matched all the way through this weekend, which has been good to see.
Yeah, you rather feel that if Jonathan Rea had needed it for a podium, he might have been able to force his way a little bit more, but against his teammates, there was nothing really to gain in battling too hard for 5th position. Nonetheless, it's been a promising weekend for Jonathan Rea. After a 7th place finish, his best last time out, it's another step forward into those top 6 places, and 2 of them thus far. So, Razgatlioglu, Bulliger, Sam Lowes, Alvaro Bautista, Andrea Locatelli and Jonathan Rea round out your top 6. Down to the grid with Anthony Nelson.
Thanks, Alex. I'm standing alongside Alvaro Bautista. He's just having a very quick chat with his crew chief, Julia Nav, at the minute. I'm going to see if I can get a very quick word in when they stop speaking. They are having their conversation, a little debrief, given the conditions right now. They're quite fixated on the data that we have here. I think I can get a very quick word in with Alvaro. Alvaro, it's the highest we've seen you on the grid so far. It's the best we've seen you in a Super Bowl race. How do you feel going into race 2?
Yeah, for sure. We did really good Super Bowl race because we gained a lot of position. Yeah, for sure. This position in the grid is much better than yesterday, no? But in any case, now the race is longer, is much hotter. I don't have reference from yesterday, so let's see what happened. I don't have any expectation because I need to understand how is the feeling in long race with this temperature. Let's see.
Oh, best of luck. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
That's Alvaro Bautista, 2nd row of the grid for him. It was a quiet start to the weekend. I have to say that really from you know the warm-up on and so on, he has made a step forward, found something obviously overnight, and looks a little bit better than he has during free practice at any stage. So chance for a podium here for Bautista. He needs it. He finds himself 20 points behind this man, Danilo Petrucci, in the championship standings. Petrucci a 3rd place yesterday, so a good 16-point haul, while Alvaro Bautista obviously retired through no fault of his own. 7th place in the Superpole race. It was a quiet one for Danilo Petrucci, so he'll be looking to fight back here and finish as he started in race 1 yesterday afternoon. Another 2 8th place finishes for Garrett Gerloff, so that's 3 in a row now, obviously stretching back to race 2 of the Emilia-Romagna round last time out, and that's a couple of rounds in a row where Gerloff has made some progress on that Kawasaki.
Yeah, it's been good to see from Garrett, and obviously for him with his future secured, now's the time to make that progress and just have that confidence for the second half of the year. We'll see him on the grid next year in the Kawasaki, and he's been able to show again that the Kawasaki is still a good package.
10th and 9th this weekend for Andrea Iannone. At least he's up onto the 3rd row of the grid for race 2 after starting down in 13th position earlier on. But after missing out in the on the visit to Most, obviously a crash in Friday practice there, a non-score in Misano last time out, he's not looked much closer to bringing himself back into contention for those podium positions.
Yeah, and one of those situations for Iannone where, again, we've kind of seen the inconsistencies this year. It's been a tough season for him, obviously, and he just hasn't had the results. And for Andrea, it's about trying to find something for the second half of the year. Technical issues already this weekend. They had a problem in yesterday morning's warm-up session, and then for Iannone as well, ran off the track a few times in free practice on Friday. So it hasn't been a perfect weekend, but 2 top 10 finishes.
Yeah, it must be said that it's not been the best of circuits for him. Wasn't last season either. But as you say, 2 top 10 finishes for him. Row number 4 then, row 4, Ryan Vickers, Jari Montella and Dominic Egerter. And Vickers has been a top 10 runner throughout the weekend in practice and in Superpole. He just hasn't quite had the race results to go with it. A little bit unaccustomed to some of the riders he's battling with and some of the situations he's finding himself in. Saw him run off earlier on, ended his hopes of taking a top 9 finish. So it's P10 on the grid, obviously next best after finishing 11th in the Superpole race. Jari Montella, we talked about his dramas at the top of the programme, carrying a penalty with him from Misano into this round. He didn't get to spend it because his race only lasted as far as turn 1. He was given another penalty for the Superpole race, and that one ruled him out of contention for the top 9. So it's row 4 for Jari Montella here.
Yeah, for Montella, it's a shame, but obviously the penalty from Misano into this weekend as well, the crash yesterday, and then a penalty for it as well. It's just tough for him. He's had good pace this week, and we'll just see what he can do from that 4th row.
Great to see Isle of Man legend John McGuinness on the grid here at Donington Park, and always soaking up the atmosphere. Pretty much any motorcycle race he can get to, he seems to be there. So always good to see a big crowd as well here at Donington Park. So lots of attention on this weekend.
Yeah, a few Max legends down on the grid as well, and for all the riders down there, you can see how busy it is as well. There's a lot of riders from different championships all coming here this weekend, and it's been good to see the over 50,000 here this weekend at Donington.
Dominic Egerter in 12th position on the grid. Little bit of a smile from him there, and that's good to see. He's needed a bit of cheer, and it's been 2 top 10 finishes. Just a shame for him that he couldn't quite get up into the top 9 for a point earlier on today. But 7th in race 1, right on the tail of Locatelli, Ray and Redding, so not too far adrift from the group of Yamahas, or the lead Yamahas, with which he needs to be fighting.
Yeah, top 10's been about where Agerter's been for much of the weekend, and he needs to make sure he can come away with another one in this race and just give yourself the chance to fight. The Yamaha manages the tyre well, so maybe that gives him a little bit of hope at the end of the race.
Ikalekuona hasn't had much hope this weekend so far. 2 retirements for him. Just a question of trying to put some points on the board. This is a tough venue for Honda, and we've seen that with Xavi Vierge struggling as well. Lecuona at least has got himself up onto the 5th row of the grid, but that's about as high as any Honda's been this weekend so far.
Yeah, for Xavi, we saw yesterday he could fight with some of the other riders, which is probably a little bit more than what had been expected of the Honda, really. It's just been a very tough track for them in the past.
14th on the grid here for Michael van der Mark, and another very, very trying weekend for van der Mark. We saw him pull up with mechanical problems on the sighting lap earlier on in the Superpole race. He did get going, then had a crash and back to pits to retire. So his only points this weekend so far, 13th of the 16 finishers in race 1 yesterday afternoon. Van der Mark needs a little bit of luck.
Yeah, he really does, and for Mikey, he didn't have that this morning. He's had a bit of bad luck already this weekend. He crashed on some fluid from Iannone's bike yesterday morning as well. It's just been another one of those tough weekends for him, but on the bike he's felt a bit better on the BMW than he did last time out.
Remy Gardner next in the order, completing row number 5, and for Gardner, did manage to make a climb in race 1 yesterday afternoon, but only as high as 9th position, and not troubling the top 9. He was 12th in the Superpole race this morning, so he's got to do it all over again from row number 5. And this has been one of those weekends, generally rare in 2025, where Dominic Egerter certainly had the upper hand on his teammates.
Yeah, he has, and for Remy, it's about trying to give yourself the chance to fight for a top 12, maybe top 10 finish, but 12th is probably about right for where he is this weekend, but try and get as close as you can to your teammate.
Yeah, he's also going to have a challenge from behind, because on row number 6 we've got Scott Redding, Axel Bassani and Xavi Vierge, and all 3 of those riders will be hoping to push on. Here is the home man Redding. Had a brilliant race 1 performance, you have to say. 6th position was the finish in the end. He went hard to try and chase the podium and then had to defend position. and he would have been hoping that after doing that from 17th on the grid in race 1, he could get up into the top 9 in the Superpole race, and then do the job in race 2 and challenge for a podium with a little bit more on his side. But unfortunately for Reading, it was a retirement from the Superpole race with some frustration. Less than 5 minutes now to go before our 23-lap race 2. Back down to the grid with Anthony.
I'm here with Sean Muir for Rocket BMW Motorrad, and Sean, Toprak's been fantastic as it's expected here at Donington Park. It has been helped by the fact that Nicola Bulega hasn't had the best 2 starts in this race. How in the race so far, how do you feel going into this one?
Yeah, we've got to be take that confidence from the first 2 races of the weekend. Yeah, Toprak, I mean, is laser focused on this one. He just wants to get out there, stay clear in turn 1, 2. And just get into his race rhythm. If anyone comes by him, good luck. We've just got to go at the pace we know we can get a tighter last full race distance. So, yeah, he knows what he's got to do. And you know, believe it or not, we've had all these race wins and all deficit we've had to claw back, and we're still level on points. So let's see what we can do here. He knows what he's got to do. He's just going to run his own pace and see what happens around him.
Well, best of luck, and I suppose the championship lead would be a little bit of a bonus for that.
It'll be nice to finish the day. Thanks, mate.
Thank you.
Yes, every possibility, of course. It is a direct head-to-head now in race 2 between Toprak Razgatlioglu and Nicola Bulega in the context of the championship. You wouldn't believe it, would you? When we had completed race 1 in Assen and Toprak was nowhere, not even on the podium. Bulega, a race winner, having dominated in Phillip Island as well. He then went on to 3 wins in Cremona, but since then, Moss, Misano and now Donington Park. It's been Toprak Razgatlioglu building momentum, and now the chance to take the championship lead for the first time in 2025, just 23 laps away from potentially a new championship leader. A familiar face, of course, Toprak Razgatlioglu bidding for his 3rd hat-trick here at Donington Park. Twenty races now done, and a gap that was 42 points leaving Phillip Island between title contenders Toprak Razgatlioglu and Nicola Bulega is now down to just 1 solitary point. The first time since the opening race of this season that Razgatlioglu has had top spot in the championship in his gift, regardless of Bulega's result. A 3rd win of the weekend for Toprak would put him in front for the first time in 2025. It's a head-to-head here to leave Donington Park as the championship leader. Alex Raby and Steve English for race 2 of the Prosecco DOC UK round. Toprak with 11 wins in 19 at this venue, with 11 wins this season as well, and now favourite for his 12th.
Yeah, for Toprak Razgatlioglu, he's out there on the softer rear tyre, same as Nicola Bulega. So for the first time this weekend, they've opted for the same combinations. Sam Lowe's on the outside the front row using a harder tyre, as is Danilo Petrucci and Alvaro Bautista. We'll see if that helps them at all during the course of this one. A little bit further down the field, Garrett Gerloff in the number 31 Kawasaki, the green bike. He's out there with the harder front tyre, one of the few riders to have made that decision. So we'll see how Gerloff does. He's been pretty competitive all the way through this week.
As you can see, large attendance here, hovering up just below the 53,000 mark, so similar attendance to last season, and good to see that again, this time capitalising on the great weather here at Donington Park. A lot of people sunning themselves as well as enjoying the race.
Yeah, it's been great. It's been a busy crowd here as usual, and we've been able to see some great racing. This 23-lap race should be good. If we're able to see Bulega make a good start, go with Toprak at the start, we're then able to see what the 2 title championship favourites and protagonists are going to be able to do. Only 1 point between them, so Bulega needs to beat Razgatlioglu to hold on to that lead.
Yes, and let's hope that at very least we do get a head-to-head between the 2 of them, because in both races thus far this weekend, Nicola Bulega has got off to a sluggish start. He ended up down in 5th place in race 1 by the end of lap 1. He ended up in 4th place by the end of lap 1 in the Superpole race, and his post-race comments were along the lines of, we need to be looking at the clutch. So let's see if Ducati have managed to figure out a way to get Bulega off the line. If he's with Toprak, there's a chance he can go with Toprak.
Yeah, I think he's clearly got the same pace as Razgatlioglu, and obviously tyre life is one of the big question marks for everyone out there, and for Bulega, he needs to make sure that the exit of turn 4, he's still up there in those top 2 or 3 positions. If he's further back than that, we've already seen this weekend Toprak